celebrating the connection with our pets. This is Animal Radio, featuring your dream team, veterinarian Dr. Debbie White and groomer Joey Villani. And here are your hosts, Hal Abrams and Judy Francis.
Great interview. A couple of interviews coming up, I believe. We're going to talk to the author of Unlikely Loves. And you've seen these, I'm sure, if you have a Facebook page. Pictures posted of one weird interspecies relationship, like a dog and perhaps a ferret getting along or something like that. She's actually put together a book, Jennifer Holland, called Unlikely Loves, and we'll talk to her in just a few minutes. We'll also have giveaways of the book. Also going to talk to a veterinarian, a jet-set concierge vet who travels on private airplanes as a veterinarian across the... Would you like to do that? I bet, Dr. Debbie, you would love a job like that.
You know, I don't know. It might be interesting. I once did pet sitting for a family. They had, at my request, they wanted a veterinarian to pet sit. So I can understand the special needs people have and the concerns with travel, definitely.
Well, she'll be on the show in just a couple of minutes. Let's take care of your phone calls first. Hey, Maggie, how you doing?
Hi, I'm doing well. And yourself?
Really, really good, especially now that you're here. I love it.
Thank you.
Cheery little voice. Where is it calling from?
Los Angeles.
The L.A. area. So what's going on? What's your problem?
Well, I have a female German Shepherd. Adorable, really good, sweet. She's a little bit, I would say, timid, and she's been smaller than her brothers, because I know the people who adopted her, two other brothers, and they tend to be bigger. But she's kind of the smaller build, smaller head, and I don't know why she has a tendency. She sleeps in the house at night. I have another dog. He's a golden retriever, which is like the most perfect dog I have ever had. And she will pee on her bed. And I don't know why. It's not one time or, it's not just only once. I put down the little pads for her to go if she needs to. No, she chooses the bed.
Are you seeing her go urinate in the bed, or is this happening kind of overnight?
It's overnight.
Okay. Well, for me, and I'll tell you, as the medical representative of the group, if I hear of a female dog having a urinary problem when it's occurring not during wakeful hours, then I think we really need to look at the possibility that she could have some kind of continence problem. There's a lot of reasons why a dog is going to leak urine, just as there's a lot of reasons why they might have urine accidents. So we have to get a good handle on that. That's the first thing. So when you go to your veterinarian and you say, my dog's having accidents, we're going to ask you all these questions. We're going to ask you, is it when your pet is awake or asleep? Are they doing it in your presence? Do you notice them voiding outside and having any difficulties or any frequency going outdoors? And those all kind of help paint a picture to the veterinarian on what kind of potential causes we might have. So are you having any of those other issues of frequency going outside, anything like that?
She doesn't go frequently. She just goes normal like my other dog. There's no problem there. The only thing I can think of from what observing her is basically that she might have a smaller bladder, because if I take her out to urinate before coming in, she's okay. She won't do it at night. Mm-hmm. But I'm talking a short amount of time, like maybe 6 hours, and then she won't do it. Then sometimes, even when I tell her right before she's coming in, she won't go because she doesn't have the need to go. But she'll come in, and sometimes she does it, sometimes she doesn't. So it's not like all the time. I don't think it's incontinence.
Well, I would say that, this is going to be something you're going to have to work with your veterinarian, because if you're going to try to solve this problem on a training front, and it's really not solely a behavioral problem, then we're going to put your doggy through a lot of training and frustration on both of your part and your doggy's part. So I want to make sure medical things are rolled out, and then I'll let Alan take his crack at things here. But for me, it really... Sweet. Oh, thanks. but this is a very common problem in female dogs. And so it is something we need to be aware of. And if it's only happening in the places when she's lying down, or it's the positional thing when she's getting up, and if you see little dripples come down, that would be a hallmark for a urinary incontinence. So the things we do to kind of check that out would be checking a urine sample, checking a physical exam where we actually check the genitalia to see if there's any kind of predisposing things going on there, and then sometimes even getting an x-ray in the lower, in the abdomen area.
Okay.
But there are a lot of dogs that have this type of problem, and I should ask, is she spayed or unspayed?
No, she's spayed.
She is spayed, okay. Because it does tend to happen a bit more in spayed females.
Okay.
But there are medications. If we feel it's that direction, and that's what we've got going on, there's some very useful medicines, some that help with the control of the bladder, the sphincter of the bladder, if you will, called PPA. And then there's also estrogen-based compounds that can help with urinary continence. So really depends on the pet, what all we're looking at. But I'll say before Alan gets started, I don't like the idea of those potty pads. I think that's confusing things. So
very confusing, very bad.
Okay, good. That's good to know because I don't like them either.
Hey, I have a question. I noticed a lot of things. A lot of things you said were really key for me. And like Dr. Debbie said, first, make sure there's nothing medically wrong with your dog. First thing is, how do you know it's her doing it? If you don't see it, how do you know it's her doing it? Because you have other dogs.
Well, my one dog, he's 3 years older than she is, so I've had him since he was a puppy. He has never, ever, ever done anything in the house since then, you know. And she has a guilty look on her face.
Well, see, the guilty look on her face, this is, again, what you've told me when you first started speaking is what you've told me is that you have an insecure dog, really insecure, anxious little dog. Yes. And you kind of baby your dog, too, because that's what human beings do. And the thing that you just said about the guilty look on her face also tells me a lot. Because the reason why dogs have guilty looks on their faces is not because they peed in your house. It's because they can tell from your body language that you're not happy with them. They have no idea why you're not happy with them, because unless you catch them in the act, they don't know what it is they're doing, that you don't like. That's wrong. So usually when people think, oh, she knows what she did, she's got that guilty look on her face. No, they're looking at you. They can tell you're not pleased. They can tell from your words, your body language, oh, she's upset. And so they get that look on their face. So how much pee does she do on her little bed? Is it a lot? Is it a little? What is it?
It gets absorbed because it's one of those those big square beds.
And do you clean it? Do you clean it up with a really good enzyme cleaner to take the scent out? How do you clean that?
I've been using vinegar, and I do use one because I can remove the cover.
You got to use an enzyme cleaner because, some people use ammonia or they use vinegar. It doesn't really get rid of the scent, so the dog will keep going in that exact spot. Over and over again. So you got to get rid of the scent. But the other thing that you got to do if there's no medical problem is you have to give your dog confidence, because your dog is around all those other dogs, and that bed is hers. She's marking it, most likely marking it.
That's what my gut feeling was. I'm sorry to interrupt you, but I thought that's right. My gut feeling.
Oh, well, she's probably just marking it because she's so anxious and she's so insecure that she's marking her little territory, telling the other dogs, this is mine. Stay away. This is mine. It's interesting. An insecure dog will sometimes pee on an owner's shoe because the owner inadvertently walked outside and maybe walked through another dog's scent or stepped on another dog's scent and brings it in the house. And some dogs get really freaked out by any change, like a new piece of furniture or a new person coming in or you moving their bed. Anything can set an insecure dog off. So I like to try to give dogs confidence. And the way to give a dog confidence, and this is going to be very hard, it is for most people, is you have to stop talking to your dog, and you have to start taking your dog for walks, and you have to start structuring your dog's activities so that every day when you wake up, you put a leash on your dog, you take that dog out by yourself. When that dog goes to the bathroom, good dog. And then lunchtime, you take the dog out. And then dinner time. And then right before bed, you take the dog out. And you cut off the water supply. Take the water away, too. That way she can't drink and fill her bladder up. And what you're doing is when you take your dogs for walks and every time she does something good, you go, good dog, you give her confidence. What you don't want to do is scold her or yell at her when you wake up and you find her little bed all, soiled with pee, because she doesn't know why you're mad. It doesn't make any sense to her, and all it does is freak her out and make her more insecure. What you want to do is, remove her before you even clean it. Don't even let her see you clean it up. Just remove her from the scene and clean it up. Use an enzyme cleaner that you can get at the pet store to get the scent totally out. But you want to start giving her a little bit of structure, making her work for things like food, weight, and always rewarding her with praise when she succeeds. And you'll give her confidence over time. And a confident dog usually doesn't have the need to mark territory in the house. They'll mark outside, but they won't mark in the house once they get confidence and once they start being anxious. And it all starts with you. It's always the human that's the teacher and the leader. And you have to remember it takes time, baby steps, that nothing gets fixed overnight with dogs. It takes time to build up confidence in a dog. And you do it with praise, and you do it with as little talk as possible. Whenever she's doing something really good, or she does something that she succeeds at, like getting a ball and bringing it back, you just go, good dog, good dog. And as she gets confidence, you'll probably see her start to not do what she's doing, barring that there's no medical problem. But it takes time.
All right. Thank you so much for taking the time.
Thanks for your call, Maggie.
Okay. Thank you.
I love it how dogs are never bad. Like if a dog has a good behavior record, they're never the bad one. They're never the violent.
Yeah, that's it. See, she doesn't know because she's never seen it happen.
Yeah.
What is that?
I was going to tell her, put the little doggy in a crate or something, but...
I wanted to ask Joy what the dog was named.
Yeah, that's good. You should.
Yeah, I should have.
Well, you would have gotten pretty much the same thing. She's actually insecure, and she wants everybody to know that is her bed.
That's her bed. And see, that poor lady, she's reinforcing the insecurity, which is another human mistake.
Stacy, you got a smile on your face.
Well, I've got a story coming up about cancer research, and you know what? It's gone to the dogs in a good way. I'll tell you about it coming up on Animal Radio News.
You're listening to Animal Radio. Call the Dream Team now with the free Animal Radio app for iPhone and Android.
Don't forget you can get your fix of Animal Radio anytime with the free Animal Radio app for iPhone and Android. Download it now. It's made possible by Fear-Free Happy Homes, helping your pets live their happiest, healthiest, fullest lives at home, at the vet, and everywhere in between. Visit them at fearfree.com. Thanks Fear-Free for underwriting Animal Radio.
Hi, this is Jenna Fisher on Animal Radio. Please spay and neuter your animals.
Do you have an old car sitting around your house? Maybe you're even paying insurance on it. Well, if you don't need that car anymore, donate it, running or not, to the United Breast Cancer Foundation. They will even come and pick it up for free and give you a receipt for a tax donation. Breast cancer screening could save the life of someone you love. And right now, they need your help. They want to save more lives through early detection by offering women free or low-cost breast screening exams. And that's what your old car helps to pay for. So get your phone out and call right now to donate your car to the United Breast Cancer Foundation. Remember, they will come pick it up for free and give you a tax donation receipt. Call right now.
800-793-4880. 800-793-4880. 800-793-4880. That's 800-793-4880.
Oh, what did he say? He said, we're all across the USA, the most listened to pet show today. Animal Radio, we're everywhere you go. Animal Radio. Animal Radio.
Well, coming up, we're going to talk about the jerky treats that are getting all these dogs sick. Finally, the FDA is taking notice of this. People have been complaining for such a long time to please regulate things that come in from out of the country for our pets, and I think they're finally going to do it. But I'll give you more details coming up on Animal Radio News.
This is very exciting with the FDA getting their hands involved. I always say less government, the better. But in this particular case,
something needed to be done.
So many recalls. Yes, sir.
I just look at the package, and if it says made in the USA, I buy it. And then if it doesn't,
here's where
I don't.
You're wrong. You're wrong.
Nope.
No,
there's plenty of things made in the USA.
That's right.
They're sourced from China still. So it not only needs to be made in the USA, it needs to be sourced in the USA. And this is the problem with some of these very American names
Well, they're
you
just
have
putting
all these
stamps
treats.
on their packages, made in the USA. That's not true.
How can they do that if it's not made here? How can they do that?
They
can.
They get the product from other countries, but then they compile it and make it here.
Look at the fine print and be very, very careful, especially with the jerky treats.
Yes.
A lot of trouble.
And the bottom line is that jerky is a treat, so no dog is going to suffer if we don't feed them these products. We can find alternate products that aren't implicated. So that would be my recommendation. Is just look for another treat style and stay away from these things.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah. I'm sorry, Alan, you got to get rid of those treats. Get rid of them right now. We got some good stuff for you in the closet, in the prize closet, some stuff we left over.
You don't give me nothing. You guys don't give me nothing. You keep it locked. It's always locked.
I'll tell you why we keep it locked, because you could start a fire. You could cause trouble, and that's exactly what happened in Wenatchee, Washington. Fire officials say a dog reaching for treats turned on a stove and started a fire, causing smoke damage to an apartment. Apparently, yes?
It's Wenatchee.
Is it Wenatchee? I have no idea. You know these. You know all of these. And I should make sure I get it correct for you folks listening in Wausau, which I pronounced incorrectly a couple of weeks ago. Sorry about that. Back to Wenatchee. What is it? Wenatchee?
Wenatchee.
Wenatchee Fire Marshal Mark Yapel says the little black Labrador was reaching for the bag of dog food left on the stove top. Not a good place to leave your food. When it accidentally turned on the stove with its paw. The good thing, nobody was home at the time. The fire department got there, rescued the dog, gave him mouth-to-snout resuscitation. Damage was estimated at $10,000. So
wow. And you know what? The lesson of the story here is it's a Labrador. You can't underestimate those guys, those noses.
They get into everything. Do you see more Labradors at the office than any other place?
Absolutely. And my own have been offenders. Chocolate toxicities, foreign bodies, rocks, you name it. Yeah, Labradors are naughty.
This story comes out of Moldova. A cat has been busted for smuggling pot into prison. Apparently, guards became suspicious about the feline, which routinely entered and left the prison through a hole in the fence. They noticed on his collar a couple of packets of pot attached to it. And apparently, not the first time. In June, guards caught the cat carrying cell phones and chargers taped to its body.
Oh, boy.
So why didn't they bust them then?
Yeah, they let the cat out. Let the cat out of the bag.
I'll bet you it took years for them to catch the cat. They make it sound like, oh, we're so smart. We were observing. It probably took them like 3 years.
At least.
Thing was going on.
Hey, Jermaine.
Hey, how are you guys?
Good. How are you doing today?
Well, I'm well. I have a question regarding domesticated and wild cats. Are they able to mate?
Are they able, biology-wise, able to mate?
Well, are they able to mate and produce a litter?
It is conceivable. Now, when you're talking about wild cats, are you talking about things like lynxes or bobcats, things like that? Yes, it is certainly possible. However, I kind of would term that a dangerous liaison, if I could, because your average wild cat and domestic cat, if they meet up, it's not going to be a good outcome for the domestic cat, unless we're dealing with, human intervention or cats that have been kind of raised in different environments where they're used to human handling. But yeah, it's certainly possible, and there are a lot of breeds out there that are actually new exotic cat breeds, where they kind of breed a semi-wild cat into that of a domestic short-hair. So it is possible. Why do you ask? I got to ask.
Well, I had a cat show up on my deck, and at first I thought it was a wild thing, and he has a bobtail. But then I discovered he's neutered, and he's declawed as well. He's huge. He is huge. And he's got this bobtail. He has no tufts. He's got like rabbit fur and a black stripe down his spine.
Sure, it's not a skunk. Oh, I guess that would be a white.
Yeah, really.
White skunk.
Yeah, as far as you know, the skunks and the cats don't breed, thankfully. A lot of these hybrid breeds, that's, some of the look they're going for is something that looks and retains the look of the wild cat and has the size and the, cuteness of the house cat. So I'm not a huge fan of hybrid cats. Now, equally, we see some very huge domestic cats out there, just in the Maine Coons, as well as the Norwegian mountain cats. Both of those breeds of cat can get around 25 pounds, so they can be a pretty sizable kitty and just be a regular old domestic house cat. So I'd be curious to know, though, and even if you could catch a picture of this kitty, I'd love to take a look, because there are some breeds like the Pixie Bob, which is basically a bobcat mixed with a domestic short hair, and they kind of have a little bit of a bobcat kind of look about them, and they're kind of interesting. So yeah, if you get a picture, I'd love to see
that too.
And have to say, if he is, a hybrid breed, one of the first things I'd say is I'd check him for a microchip, because some of the hybrid breeds could go up to $5,000, $10,000, $15,000. So they are not a cheap pet, and if someone lost them, they would be looking very dearly for them.
Right. And we'll hunt for Chip, and we'll find out exactly what he is, and I will try to get a photograph of him for y'all.
That would be great. We'd love to see it. Thanks so much for your call today, Jermaine. By the way,
you're welcome.
Anybody that wants to email us with pictures or questions, your voice at animalradio.com.
Do your dogs go nuts when they hear fireworks or during a bad thunderstorm? It's not their fault. They have sensitive ears. You love your dog, and so do we. That's why we developed a perfect solution for your loved pets by eliminating the harmful noise. It's called Doggy Hush, a unique waterproof set of headphones that go over your dog's ears. They're so comfortable, your dog won't even know they're wearing them. And when this happens, your dog will feel and stay safe and stress-free. Go to doggyhush.com. Enter the promo code we're about to give you for a free special gift. Again, buy Doggy Hush for your dog today and protect your dog's ears from fireworks, thunderstorms, and a lot more harmful noises. Go to doggyhush.com and enter this promo code, Radio4. Radio and the number 4. Go to doggyhush.com right now and enter the promo code Radio4. Again, that's promo code Radio4.
Hi, this is Paul Rogers.
And Cynthia Rogers.
On Animal Radio.
Just know that it's going to be all right, meow.
This is an Animal Radio News Update.
I'm Stacey Cohen for Animal Radio. This has become a really big problem, these jerky treats. Meat or plant-based jerky pet treats have been tied to mysterious illnesses in thousands of dogs, according to the U.S. Food and Drug Administration. They're asking your help. They need help to get to the bottom of the issue. Bernadette Dunham, she's director of the FDA's Center for Veterinary Medicine, said in a statement on their website, this is one of the most elusive and mysterious outbreaks they've encountered. Our beloved four-legged companions deserve our best effort, and we're giving it. In some cases, pets have actually become severely ill after they ate the treats. They're sold as jerky tenders or strips made of chicken, duck, sweet potatoes, or dried fruit. The agency said they're not clear why these pets are getting sick. With the outbreak under investigation, the FDA is calling on pet owners, if you've had a problem with your pet, please come forward and let them know what happened. Most of the treats involved in these incidents were made in China. Police in Sweden are investigating an alleged fish slap. According to the local, the victim, a man in his 60s, told the cops that a woman who was also in her 60s broke into his house. She was wielding a mackerel. Well, every woman does that when they're pissed off. The suspect allegedly woke up from his nap and he was slapped across the face with the fish. Police say the man knows the suspect, who also supposedly stole more than $300 from him. And to top it off, she went in and raided his refrigerator. An Australian woman's blind chicken is still among the living after she performed CPR for more than 3 hours. How in the world do you do that with a chicken? According to Orange News, Roberta Rappo's pet bird, which her daughter has named Chooky Wookie, was recently blown into the family's backyard pool. Well, they scooped Chooky out of the water, and Roberta started pumping her chest and blowing air down her beak. Now, while the effort seemed like a lost cause, I don't mean to laugh, I know this is serious, but I just can't imagine somebody doing CPR on a bird, for God's sakes. Roberta says her daughter wouldn't let her stop. Just over 3 hours later, Roberta was shocked to see the bird hop right back to life. It's a miracle. She says Chooky Wookie even started showing off by quickly laying an egg after she was revived. I'm Stacey Cohen. Get more animal breaking news at animalradio.com.
This has been an Animal Radio News Update. Get more at animalradio.com.
Hi, this is Elaine Boozler on Animal Radio. Spay and neuter your pets and some of your exes.
Need a fix of the good stuff? Get more Animal Radio with the free Animal Radio app for iPhone and Android.
Jennifer Holland's joining us with Unlikely Loves. You've seen this all over your Facebook pages or all over the internet, all these strange interspecies relationships. And Jennifer has documented them. Hi, Jennifer. Welcome to the show.
Hi. Thanks for having me on.
A great book. A great pic. You know, I like pictures. That's my favorite kind of book is picture books.
Everybody likes pictures.
And you've got all these pictures. Now, did you just put out a solicitation for all these pictures, these stories? How did you compile all these stories of weird interspecies relationships?
Oh, they kind of came from a lot of different sources. In part, I looked for pictures and then tried to track down the source of the photo or the owners of the animals to find out what really happened here. Is this a real picture? Is this a photoshopped picture? Who knows?
Well, that must have been tough.
It was. It was logistically very, very difficult to find the real source, and it's really important to me to get the facts right and make sure that I go back to the original.
What's the most oddest, strangest combination that you came across?
Anything with a reptile in it always kind of makes me scratch my head. So there's a very cute one of a tortoise that kind of joins up with a litter of puppies and acts just like the puppies and literally just buries itself in the litter of puppies in the bed and runs with the dogs to feed out of the same bowl. And it's just so funny because the reptilian brain, I think, really is a little bit of a different animal than the mammalian one. So it's always particularly interesting to me when they're involved in these relationships.
Do you see any of these stories where the interspecies animals seem to be getting along and then all of a sudden, like the snake just eats the rabbit?
I left those out. It was kind of a rule of mine that if the story ended badly, ultimately I wasn't going to just leave that part out and use it anyway. So there were some times when I'd find a picture that looked really sweet, and then when I looked into it a little further, it was questionable what actually happened.
Uh-oh. Well, tell us some of those stories.
There was I think the one that I remember most is I think it was a leopard and a mouse, and there's some adorable pictures. You can probably still find them online. And the little caption or the little write-up, left it hanging that everything was fine.
Uh-huh.
But when I went and got in touch with the photographer, he didn't really want to say it, but I said, so what was the outcome of this? And he sort of hemmed and hawed about it a little bit.
Wow.
And, so I think that mouse didn't have much time yet to live in the pictures.
Aww.
It does happen. It is predator and prey out there. You can't help it.
Did you have any stories where there were more than one animal? Like I've seen the picture of the cat that sits on top of the dog with, what was it, a squirrel on top of the cat?
Yeah, or a bird.
Right. Yeah, there are some triples in there. That happens a lot more in captive situations where people raise a bunch of animals together, or in a farm situation. It seems that sometimes there will be one animal that everybody else gravitates towards, so you have kind of a paternal or maternal figure in the group, and then other animals that seem to like hanging around.
Is this kind of a new thing because we were bringing these animals together, or years ago when they were wild, do you think this kind of thing went on?
I think it does. There are cases in the wild that people have caught on film. I've tried to gather those when I find them and put them in the books, but I think it probably happens less in the wild just because the animals there are struggling to survive. They don't really have the luxury necessarily of being able to be less picky. And generally they're looking for food or looking to escape from a predator or something like that, and it just doesn't make as much sense to befriend animals of other species. Mm-hmm. But in captivity, certainly the animals are well taken care of and well fed, and if they grow up with another animal or if they're just looking for companionship, I think it's not that uncommon for them to do this.
Is there a plan for a second book, and where can I send my pictures?
Actually, a third book. There was Unlikely Friendships was the first book, and yes. Unlikely Loves, this one is the second volume. And I am working on a third book in the Unlikely series, but it will be a little bit different. And so I hope it will sort of add value to the set because it just kind of goes in a different direction. So
can you tell us?
I can't yet. I think I'm supposed to stay quiet a little longer. But it'll be out this year. This time next year for Christmas next year.
Well, Alan and I will take a picture of ourselves together, licking each other. We'll send it to you for some next unlikely title.
Yeah.
Jennifer, this is an awesome book. I'm going to give away 10 copies right now. And if you're not lucky enough to get through, head on over to Amazon or to your store. If they don't have it, you know what? It's sold out.
Yes.
Just ask them to order it. They'll get another one, or head online. You can get anything online these days. Unlikely Loves, 43 heartwarming true stories from the animal kingdom. The author, Jennifer Holland, joining us. Thanks, Jennifer.
Thank you so much.
We'll head back to the phones next.
Why can't, we come up with an idea? I mean, all these brilliant people we have on here, they all have these ideas, and we don't have any. I mean, it's just, what's up with that? What? It's not fair.
You're listening to Animal Radio. Call the Dream Team now with the free Animal Radio app for iPhone and Android.
Good day, Animal Radio lovers. Good day, Animal Radio listeners. It's Vinnie Penn, your resident party animal, coming at you with the Party Animal segment. The next 2 Party Animal installments will be about my beloved dog, Cruiser. For longtime listeners of the segment, of Animal Radio in general, you know that Cruiser, the mini schnauzer that ran the Penn home for over 10 years. The reason we are doing the Cruiser Chronicles is I was reminded of him twice recently, and both stories are certainly worthy of your attention. One came up recently due to Halloween. Took the kids out trick-or-treating, of course. And really, this isn't me trying to be funny. I have a 3-year-old and a 6-year-old, and they come back with such loot that I really feel like I'm doing them a favor when I eat all of it over the next couple of days while they're at school and daycare. They think I'm being funny when I do it, but really I don't want them to have that much candy so young. They're not that well-versed at brushing their teeth anyway. But they would come back. My 3-year-old in particular, I think, wouldn't notice that so much of his loot was gone. And I came clean and told them what had happened. And it reminded me of a time when I had gone trick-or-treating. And I came home and my entire bag of Halloween candy, a lot of loot, and some of the crazy stuff, not just the chocolate, but Skittles and Starbursts, every piece of candy in there, Sweet Tarts, bubble gum. Cruiser, a dog who I don't think ever surpassed the 10-pound mark, had eaten, wrappers included, he had devoured the entire bag. Now, I proceeded to tell people I was dumbfounded by the fact that this tiny little animal could eat all that, and he was just hanging around the house. He laid there that night. He was certainly stuffed. And people were saying to me, oh, dogs can't eat chocolate. Chocolate will kill dogs. And to this day, I will tell you, and for any of you listening, no, it won't. No, it won't. It didn't kill a 10-pound mini schnauzer. Vinnie Penn, Party Animal, Animal Radio.
You're listening to Animal Radio. Find us at animalradio.com. Log on, learn more.
Thousands of authors across the country have written books and published them with Page Publishing. If you've written a book, they can help you through the process. Cut through the confusion of the publishing world to make it easy for you. If they decide to publish your book, your work ends, theirs begins. From copy editing and proofing to typesetting and book cover art. Plus, get your book printed, distributed, and sold on Amazon, Apple Books, Barnes & Noble, and in bookstores across the country. They even help promote your book. Biography, self-help, mystery, novels, sci-fi, or even a children's book. No matter what genre, Page Publishing can bring your book to life. And don't forget to ask about audiobooks. We do all of this for you. Call today for your free writer's guide packed with tips, tricks, and templates to help you finish what you started.
800-215-6815. 800-215-6815. 800-215-6815. That's 800-215-6815.
Dogs or cats, horse or emu, animals are people too.
Does your dog ignore you? Does he just sit there when you call his name? Well, there's a possibility he doesn't know his name. Seems obvious, but it's not when you think that both of you speak a different language, and a lot of the time, owners combine the dog's name with a command, leaving the dog to think his name could possibly be, Toby, get out of that garbage right now. Experts say dog training for names should start when you first bring the dog home, but it's never too late. Teach your dog his name by saying his name and giving him a treat or a toy. His name should always be a positive thing, and experts advise not combining the name when reprimanding him. Within a week, you should get the respect you've been missing from a very attentive dog. I'm Britt Savage for Animal Radio.
Animals are people too. Animal Radio.
You're listening to Animal Radio. Here's Hal and Judy.
We have Ray on line 4. Hey, Ray, where are you calling from today?
Los Angeles.
Well, welcome to Animal Radio. What's going on?
Well, I have a neighbor, and he's a cat hoarder. I hope you're not going to recommend that I contact Animal Services, because I know them and they know me by sight. And I know who I'm talking to when they answer the phone.
Oh, wow. You're on regular terms with them then, huh?
Yeah, let me just tell you about the neighbor. Last year, I took 15 cats to SPCA when they told me don't come back. In the remaining 21 days, I took another 17 cats. So that's 32 cats in a 21-day period.
Wow.
The neighbor's family acknowledges that he has emotional problems, but I'm mobility impaired. I'm sick of finding, I'm sick of having work done on my house, and the people who are working on my house tracking cat poo into my house because it's all over my yard. I regularly speak to the neighbors, and he'll tell me, but I'm not feeding the cat. And I said, they're scavengers. If you feed them, they will come. Right now, I'm dealing with a situation where there's 4 kittens, 3 juveniles, and 3 adults, and I have pictures on my cell phone of him taking food to the cats in his backyard.
Okay.
Is he just emotionally disturbed, and I'm going to have to get over myself?
Well, the thing with hoarding is that it's really a symptom. We would like to address it as a problem, but it is a symptom of other issues. So usually folks that do this have something else going on in their life that they're lacking, and this is a way that they find comfort. So it is definitely something where we need to get some professional help. Usually we do turn to Animal Services as kind of the root to where we start for this. And we've dealt with this in my area. I've had beloved clients that have had this problem, and you cannot fix the problem until the individual accepts that and accepts the mental health that they need. So working with the family members would be one way to come at this if you do not want to go to the Animal Services. But really, in order to get those animals out of those situations, and with hoarding, there's so many different things that the animals in those situations are going through. And what I've witnessed is that we've had cats that have had severe respiratory infections to where they've actually had changes on their tongues, scabs, sores on their eyes.
They're not healthy animals.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, they're all being born with the same defect in their leg, where the rear leg on the right side is crimped in a certain way. I know they're all interrelated. And I even tell him, you're torturing those cats. You're torturing those cats.
But to try to work with him is going to be very challenging because these individuals do need professional help. And I don't know what situations you got going with the Animal Services, but that would really be, it's one of the ways that we can help find some of the other services that can support us. So Animal Services, certainly to get those animals spayed and neutered, but also to put you in contact and to put the family into contact with professionals that can help in the mental health department. So I know in our area, the health district has some resources for free services for mental health, and they'll help put people in touch with other maybe more professionals in psychiatry, psychologists in those ways. But you're not going to be able to convince him, to do what's right in the situation, and you definitely need to use those services.
Okay, well, I'll start working with the family member then.
Yeah. And I
empathize.
To the family.
I empathize with. She's in a terrible position because she doesn't want to make enemies out of the neighbors, and at the same time she doesn't want to see the cats suffer. So.
We're now all forget about it. We're enemies.
Well, you have to get
enemies.
You have to get help, ma'am. You can't do it yourself. The problem's not going to go away. Just like Dr. Debbie said, you got to get professionals involved because the problem is never going to go away unless this poor individual gets some help.
Okay, we'll start talking to the family members more often and see if we can move the family to, he was hospitalized last year. So we'll see if we can move the family members to, my favorite credo with this neighbor now is take your meds, but
Oh, no. And if I can direct you to a website, there is a great research body that's been put together. Tufts Veterinary School is one of the organizations involved with it. And there is, it's called the Hoarding of Animals Research Consortium. And there's some good resources on there that you can look. It has some questions, ways to find resources for intervention, and kind of also the public aspect of the health issues with that. So maybe check that out.
We wish you the best of luck with that, Ray. She's in a tough situation there. Hopefully,
can you imagine?
Yeah, I know.
We had it wasn't an animal hoarding, but just a week ago there was one in a community nearby, and they had to truckload out 15 trucks of stuff from this guy's house.
Man,
and it had been like that since 2007.
I feel so bad for they got that cable show, Hoarders, and I watched that show, and I feel so bad for those people. I mean, because they know they're sick and they can't help it.
Mm-hmm.
Not to try to make a joke, but imagine if you were a person who hoarded hoarders.
Yeah, that would be. You know who's a big hoarder is Judy. She hoards the prize closet and all of the stuff in the prize closet.
Hey.
Hey, this is Sean Hayes on Animal Radio. Remember to spay and neuter your pets.
How would you like to get a free smartphone? If you own a smartphone, listen to this incredible offer that's almost too good to be true. Right now, you can switch your plan and get service with us for as little as $2 a day. Guaranteed for life. Plus, get a free smartphone every year. Call the free smartphone hotline now and we'll move your number from your existing service. Think of your savings. So don't wait. Switch your plan, save money, plus get a free smartphone every year. Call the free smartphone hotline right now. We guarantee you're going to love our service. If you don't like what we say, you can hang up on us. But you won't. Right now, you can switch your plan and get service with us for as little as $2 a day. Guaranteed for life. Call the free smartphone hotline right now. 800-475-3351. 800-475-3351. 800-475-3351. That's 800-475-3351.
Celebrating the connection with our pets. This is Animal Radio, featuring your dream team. Veterinarian Dr. Debbie White, dog trainer Alan Cable, groomer Joey Villani, communicator Joy Turner, and here are your hosts, Hal Abrams and Judy Francis.
Welcome, my friend. This hour, we're going to talk to the veterinarian that travels across the country on private planes, taking care of animals. A great job. Probably the best job in the world.
That sounds pretty cool.
She'll be joining us in just a few minutes. We'll be taking your calls for the doc or the animal communicator, the dog father, or the trainer. And another story coming out of Lahui, Hawaii, which is, and I pronounced it right because I used to live there in Kauai, the island of Kauai. A 25-year-old surfer, former boxer, went several rounds with a shark and won. Jeff Horton punched a shark that bit down on his surfboard. He was able to get away uninjured. He'd been surfing about 3 hours in when he saw a dark shape approaching his surfboard. The shark clamped down on his surfboard, and he was knocked off and onto the shark. Horton held the fin of the shark with one hand and punched the shark about 8 times, finally jamming a knuckle into his eye, and the shark spit out the board and flung Horton into the air. Horton climbed back on the board and paddled to safety there. So there's a...
You know, and he actually had the purchase of thought to actually say, I'm going to hit him in... Because a lot of people know that if you hit a shark in the face, they'll let go. But
is that for real? I mean, obviously.
Yeah. That's what you're supposed to do, is that, you know, you're supposed to stun them in their face. But I'd never think of that. I'd be freaking out.
No kidding.
Yeah, me too, man. Me too. I'd be looking for my leg, you know. Did he get it yet?
Well, this guy returned back to shore with a semicircle bite mark in his surfboard, which I'm sure he's showing off.
Oh, yeah.
Dr. Debbie probably has the second best job in the world.
I won't argue on that second part. I don't know. I'm feeling my age anymore. Now I went to a conference the other day, and there's so many young-looking veterinarians out there, and I had a very youthful face, but my gosh, they're baby face now.
Well, you get paid to actually play with pets all day. Well, not play, but take care of them, be with them, have fun with them, and save their lives.
We do more than that, yeah.
You do save their lives. But our next guest, Dr. Cindy Bressler, she not only is a veterinarian, but she gets to travel on luxurious aircraft with the jet sets. Is that what they call it? Jet sets. And in fact, she has a company called Jet Set Vets, and we welcome her to the show. Hi, Doc. How are you doing?
God, that's genius.
Hi, how are you? Thanks so much for having me.
Okay, so now tell us, what is it you do exactly?
I have a veterinary practice in Manhattan and also in the Hamptons in New York.
Okay.
And I have a house call practice. So over the years, I have worked with a certain clientele where a few times over the years I have been asked to accompany pets who are sick on private jets of some of my clients.
Wow.
To fly with them. So when they needed to be transported, if they needed to be in the hospital, usually people think that you have to keep them in the hospital and they can't leave the hospital until they're better. But a lot of people wanted to fly or return to Los Angeles from New York or go to London with their dog or their cat. And if they were on IV fluids or oxygen, we would actually take the fluids and the oxygen on the plane with them, continue their medical treatment during the flight, and then continue it at their home or transport them to another specialty hospital upon the destination. So since we've been commissioned for that, we decided that there was a need for it, not a great need, it's a specialty service. So we created Jet Set Vets last year to be able to do that. And not every pet can fly if they're sick. It just depends on the situation.
So you're really kind of a vet to the stars.
Well, not just the stars. We work with many different people. But yes, because of my house call concierge style practice in New York and the Hamptons, I have had the opportunity to meet different clients and celebrities or high-profile people from around the world.
That's a genius idea. Did you get that idea from Royal Pains? Did you watch Royal Pains and get that idea?
I've been doing it for 10 years. So
wow.
We think that the idea was noticed in the Hamptons between myself and another practitioner, and we've been asked to do shows over the years, but we don't know if it's definitely related, but we were doing it before Royal Pain started.
That's genius.
How equipped are you to handle emergencies if something should need like emergency surgery or something while you're in the air?
We cannot do surgery in the air. We would make an emergency landing if the pet needed surgery, but we would assess the situation beforehand. So if we think that the pet would need surgery or if the flight is too long for a very critical animal, we would not take them on the plane. Mm-hmm. So we are connected to many major specialty veterinary hospitals around the world, including veterinary schools, and connected to veterinarians who are aware of the service, who can take over because you have to be licensed to practice wherever you are. There's no licensing issue when you're in the airspace, but once you get to the destination, you have to have a license in that area. So we've connected with different specialty hospitals and veterinary schools around the world to be prepared to handle the transport of these patients.
You're a vet in New York, but if you land in California, you can't actually physically work on an animal.
That's correct, unless I have a license in California. Oh. So I work with Dr. Patrick Mahaney, who has the same type of house call practice, concierge practice that I do in Los Angeles, and we actually share mutual clients, and he would take over the case in Los Angeles.
How many flights like this do you do a year?
This is a very specialized service, so it's not even one every month. It depends on the need for the pets, and also if the client can afford to take the private plane, because it is a private jet. We would love to do it on regular air flights, but there's no space. And when you have the private jet and you have the room in the cabin, to be right there with the pet and to have the fluid pump or the oxygen or whatever they need, then you can, provide those services. You can't really do it on a commercial flight, at least not at this time.
You know what I like, Doc, is that you've presented this in a very professional way. And I think I could hear it in Hal's voice. He thought this was just a fun type thing you do. And you have a very...
No, I wasn't saying that, but go ahead.
But no, I mean, she has a very daunting task. I mean, what I do in a setting, in a physical setting, is challenging enough. But to be responsible for a life in the air with, minimal equipment sometimes, you don't have that x-ray machine with you. I mean, I think it is an amazing responsibility, and I applaud you for this, and I'm sure what you do is not easy.
No, you have to actually, you really have to think the situation through from start to finish. What exactly will you need? Do you need what are the things that you may need when you're there? Is it really appropriate for the animal to travel? We're not going to bring an animal on the plane if they really need to be in the ICU.
Sure. So when I'm looking at the cost, budgeting it out and everything, the plane will cost me about how much?
The plane, depending on the size of the plane, we actually work with Blue Star Jets, which is a private jet charter company in New York City. They fly all around the world. You can get a jet from like a small, medium, or a large jet, anywhere from $1,000 to I think somewhere around $15,000 an hour, depending on where you're going.
Okay.
And then
what do you charge?
We charge separately for
Okay.
our time. So the veterinarians charge about approximately $200 an hour to be
Wow.
there with them for our time. And then any other medical treatment, catheters, fluids, oxygen, those are additional, but the same cost as it would be in a hospital. In New York or Los Angeles prices, I guess.
I got to say, I thought you would charge more per hour. That's pretty good.
I thought it would be a lot more,
We
too.
have to. The technician is also. There's a charge for the technician as well, which is an hourly charge. But you have to be able to provide the service. You can't. You can't charge an exorbitant amount where it's not realistic.
Sure. Absolutely genius. You have one story that I want you to share with listeners before you go about the dog that was about to give birth.
Well, I did fly a few times with a client of mine back and forth from Los Angeles to New York because they wanted to have somebody on the plane in case the dog went into labor. And we just were monitoring. That's a situation where we were prepared for the birth in case we had to deliver the puppies. But it actually never happened on the plane. The puppies were delivered in New York City, so we didn't have to worry about it. But I did want to mention one more thing about Jet Set Vets is we try to give back to animals in need. So we do take a portion of the booking flight that Jet Set Vets gets, and we donate it to the animal charity of choice of the person who's flying. So that's one
cool.
thing. We wanted to find a way to possibly be able to donate a large amount of money per flight to a charity of their choice, or if not, we rotate it through different animal charities around the world.
You're doing great work. Is there a
Thank
website
you.
where we could learn more about this?
Yes, you can go to jetsetvets.com, and it will take you to the Blue Star Jets homepage, the Jet Set Vets on Blue Star Jets, which will explain everything. And if somebody wants to book a flight with Jet Set Vets, they can contact myself in New York. The information's on the Jet Set Vets page, or Dr. Mahaney in Los Angeles, or just one of us to fly anywhere else around the world.
And we'll put links to everything you've heard on today's show over at animalradio.com. Thank you so much for spending time with us, Dr. Cindy Bressler. And now, Dr. Debbie, you understand why I say you have the second best job?
I get it. Yeah.
That's
Well, thank
amazing.
you guys for
What
having
a great
us.
niche.
We appreciate it. You spreading the word about Jet Set Vets.
We'll head back to the phones next.
You see, that's what I'm talking about. I mean, this woman is brilliant. She comes up with an idea that it's just brilliant. Brilliant. Why can't we come up with an idea like this? I mean, you guys are smart. I mean, what a great idea. Royal Pains got the idea from her. She'd been asked that question before, you can tell.
Which?
When I said, did you get the idea from Royal Pains? You know what Royal Pains is, Deb?
I've seen it advertised. I've never watched it, but
Yeah, it's about the same kind of thing. They're concierge. He's a concierge doctor in the Hamptons, and he saves everybody. I mean, but it's kind of wild that what she's
it'd be
doing
a tough
is wild.
gig, though, man. Some of those clients would be the most difficult ones to please. So
Absolutely. But you got one thing going for you. They're not going to treat you like they're going to treat like a maid. Treat a maid because you are a doctor and they are looking to you for help.
Bull
Yeah, you
crap.
think? Well, you don't have to. You don't have to deal with those difficult people.
Yes, you
Say,
do.
hey,
What do you think? I live in a bubble? Oh, I guarantee you, she has stories of people treating her like a maid. I will guarantee you. I get it. I have it
cut
happen
those
here.
people off.
If they're paying you $25,000 to take their dog coast to coast, I don't know. That might be hard to do.
Well, see, I'm a New Yorker though, Debbie. I'm not going to put up with that.
Dogs or cats, horse or emu, animals are people too.
The Scorpion Queen and Centipede King of Thailand have tied the knot. I didn't get my invitation either. The creepy crawler-loving couple celebrated their special day at a haunted house. 36-year-old Kanchana Ketsu, who set the world record for spending 32 days in a glass tank filled with scorpions, married 29-year-old Banthawi Senwang, who set the record for living 28 days with 1,000 centipedes. The bridal gown was adorned with live scorpions, and the groom enticed his bride by gently holding a centipede in his mouth. The wedding started as a traditional ceremony with elders blessing the couple with holy water. Then the happy couple climbed into coffins. I'm Britt Savage for Animal Radio.
Animals are people too. Animal Radio.
If Ernest Hemingway was alive today, would he say this to you?
Shakespeare, Mark Twain, Edgar Allan Poe.
all great writers. And after reading your book, I simply must add you to the list.
Wait, you don't have a book yet. So make a free call to Page Publishing. Turn your book idea into publishing gold.
800-215-6815. 800-215-6815. That's 800-215-6815.
Celebrating the connection with our pets. This is Animal Radio, featuring veterinarian Dr. Debbie White, groomer Joey Villani, news director Lori Brooks. Here are your hosts, Hal Abrams and Judy Francis.
It's Animal Radio, and in just a few minutes, we're going to talk to the guy who owns Chaser. That's the dog that knows 1,000 words. Very smart dog, and in fact, knows these words that you can't even spell these words in front of it. Dog knows how you're spelling. Does that happen with you, with your dog? You take him for a walk. I'm going to take him for a W-A-L-K. He knows. And then you start spelling it backwards, and they get that, too. They are so smart. We're going to find out just how smart in just a couple of minutes right here on Animal Radio. This story out of Miami, a man bitten by a rattlesnake while trying to help a stranded turtle cross I-75 in South Florida. As Alan will attest to, that's quite a highway. A Miami-Dade Fire Rescue reports that a man placing the turtle into the grass by the side of the road Tuesday afternoon was bit by a diamondback rattlesnake.
Whoa.
Bit him in his hand.
Ooh.
He immediately drove to a 24-hour nearby hospital where they treated him with anti-venom. And Tuesday night reported that it was only affecting his left arm, and he should have a full recovery there.
Jeez,
Living
good Samaritan.
Florida's it's like Australia. I mean, did you see the alligator in front of the Walmart? He was like right in front of the doors there, and the people couldn't come. I mean, there's things all over the place there that not only are gross, but they can kill you. I mean, it'd be hard for me to live there.
Yeah, no, thank you.
Cockroaches the size of VWs.
There's like critters there all over the place. You can't go into the woods. You can't go off the pavement.
Ugh, no, thank you.
For Dr. Debbie, we have a medical question from Leona. Hi, Leona. Welcome to the show.
Hi.
Where are you calling from today?
Bayport, Michigan.
Bayport, Michigan. Getting cold up there, I bet, huh?
Yes, it is.
Okay, we'll send our warmth your way. What's going on with your animal? I have the doc here.
Hi.
He's like 8 years old, and he got cataracts in his eye about 6 months ago. I took him to the vet, and they said the other eye was totally clear. That one was really bad, so he gave me some kind of drops to put in there. Now, it's like 6 months later, his other eye is just totally cataract. And the vet told me it's like $5,000 for surgery. And I was wondering if there was any kind of veterinarian school or anything that would do it at, cheaper cost.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, and that definitely is a very big surgery to have done. Let me ask you also, so you took the baby to the vet. Did they check him for diabetes?
Yes, they did. He doesn't have it.
Okay, fabulous. Because that's one thing we talk about with cataracts when they develop is very commonly, especially in poodles, we can often see them secondary to diabetes.
Yeah,
but they can happen on their own, definitely. Now, and how is your doggy getting along with those cataracts? How's his vision and how's he maneuvering?
He's walking into walls and everything.
Yeah.
Terrible. Yeah.
Okay. And that's the trick is with cataracts, with some dogs, when it's gradually develops, they can actually maneuver pretty well as long as they don't change their world and change their environment. If they're a little bit more sudden in their onset, then it can be a little bit more of a shock to the system for them to get used to the world that they live in without vision. But, there are many dogs that can do wonderful with cataracts and the lack of their vision. So you had asked as far as, cost wise and if there's a low cost option for that. And in Michigan, I can't say whether a vet school would necessarily be cheaper, but they are teaching hospitals, so that, might be something to look into. And I do know that there is a Michigan State that you might want to check into. I think it's in East Lansing, Michigan. So, but I certainly couldn't comment whether or not they would offer low cost surgery. But when you're having this type of surgery done, I think we all have to recognize cataract surgery in dogs is done by board-certified veterinary ophthalmologists. So the average doc like myself can't do this. It takes special equipment, special training. So it does tend to end up being a pretty big ticket item. But that being said, in a specialist's hands, this kind of surgery can be wonderful. And in many cases, I know our local veterinarians that do this, 80 to 90% of the dogs have fabulous return to vision. So it has its great benefits there. Now, some options you might look into, and they have served us well here in Las Vegas. There are some different funds that may be available for your situation. If the ophthalmologist is an AHA certified hospital, they may have the Helping Pets Fund, and that is something that you would have to apply to, get approved for, show financial need, and in many cases that can help offset the cost, or even in some cases cover the costs of some of these surgeries that are kind of a one-time big ticket item. There's some other funds out there called the Pet Fund, as well as some others. So if you Google that, if you have computer access, there may be some of those options that can help you, see if your baby can restore some vision. But if not, Leona, there are a lot of doggies that can do well. I have some tips with that. You want to make sure you don't change the household environment too much. If you have runners or carpets, area rugs that help with the texture and the feel, a blind dog will find their way around better if you can give them a sort of path to follow. And that might be by texture, by a rug. It can also be by scent. And I had one client who recently used lavender and vanilla to help guide the dog to certain areas in the home. So they kind of scent marked where the food bowl was, they scent marked where the door was with different scents. And that actually helps the dog find her way through the home. So, all's not lost if her vision is lost.
That's what I was really worried about, because we live on 44 acres, and I'm afraid of her going out because it's like wooded. I'm afraid of her going out in the woods and getting lost. I'm about to find her.
Yeah, and I'd have to say, a blind dog has no business being out in the woods alone. So that is a lifestyle adjustment. Yeah, you have to make that conscious decision for her, and I would not allow her unsupervised outside. There's too many things that could happen. And just like people in, suburban areas, pools, horrible thing for a dog with limited vision. So you really have to have safety steps around that. So I'd say you're going to have to be her special caregiver and make sure that you have an indoor environment you can keep her safe.
Yeah, well, I started tying her up, put her on a chain when she goes out.
I'm not a fan of tying her up, Leona. I'd say keep the baby indoor or find her a way you can create a dog pen for her, because that can be very frustrating to be tied up.
I am the family dog, and it's that time of year again. The one where pet parents start looking for Fido-friendly hotels and destinations where Fido is welcome. Make no bones about it. Pets are part of the family. And we like to sniff out new places, and we hate to be turned away, especially when we're on our best behavior. So we won't be left out in the cold. Be sure to pick up a copy of Fido Friendly magazine to find the best hotels and destinations where Fido is always welcome. Go online to FidoFriendly.com and subscribe today.
This is an Animal Radio News Update.
I'm Stacy Cohen for Animal Radio. Well, there's new meaning to how the chicken crossed the road. I think we finally have the answer. He wore a high-visibility jacket. Seriously, a British company is looking to keep chickens crossing the road safe. The high-vis chicken jacket by Omelette also makes chicken coops, by the way. They're made from reflective material to keep chickens safe at night. The jacket's equipped with 2 holes for the chicken's wings, and it's fastened with Velcro. It's also insulated, so chickens wandering around on cold nights will be warm. The high-visibility chicken jacket runs your chicken about $20. Man's best friend could be on the cutting edge of cancer research with their apparent ability to detect changes in their owners.
There have been plenty of stories of people whose dogs have changed their behavior when they've developed a disease or cancer.
Dr. Cindy Otto of the University of Pennsylvania is working to detect cancer in humans with the use of dogs called super sniffers. She says dogs' noses have millions more odor detectors than humans. Well, there's a French bank, and apparently they've had to do a lot of apologizing lately. They posted an inappropriate picture on their Facebook account. According to the local .frere, the bank says that they were trying to take advantage of social media networks when they posted a picture that seemed to show a squirrel with its testicles caught on a bird feeder. That would hurt, especially if the bird thought those were little nuts. The picture was accompanied with a message promoting insurance that will cover any temporary injury. The bank says they regret the posting, that it hurt their Facebook followers and any potential customers. I'm Stacy Cohen. Get more animal breaking news at animalradio.com.
This has been an Animal Radio News Update. Get more at animalradio.com.
You're listening to Animal Radio. Call the Dream Team now with the free Animal Radio app for iPhone and Android.
You think you have a smart dog? I think Ladybug's pretty darn smart.
Oh, she is. She understands a lot of what I'm saying and a lot of what I'm thinking.
What about Rudy? Rudy smart? Do you think Rudy's a sharp dog?
So I think he's smart? What do you mean smart? Do I think he can do math? No, he can't do math. How smart do you want to know? What is smart? What does that mean?
Well, does he know any words? I mean, if you say, let's go for a walk, does he know what you mean?
He knows words, yes. He does know. Dogs are capable of learning words. They can learn, like, lots of words, but they don't know, sentences and conversation and stuff like that.
Does he ever do anything where you have to actually spell out the word because he already knows the word? Like, I'm going to take you for a W-A-L-K, and then he knows what that means?
No. Well, you know what? I don't think he's put that together yet, but he knows a lot of things because all they do is watch you. And so people think they understand the language. A lot of times it's actually what you're doing with your body that cues them in on what you're going to, if you're going to leave the house, they see you pick up your keys. That, oh, he's so smart. He knows I'm leaving the house I just talked about. No, he sees you pick the keys up and he knows.
You hear the story about Chaser, this dog that knows 1,000 words.
Wow.
What kind of dog is that?
It's a Border Collie. Very smart dog. And I believe it was a couple of years ago that we first heard about this dog. And since then, the owner, John Pilley, who's joining us, has written a book about Chaser, along with Hillary Heinzman, who's also joining us. Hi, guys. How you doing?
Fine, doing good. Hope you are.
So your Border Collie is Chaser, who was a dog that you got after another one of your dogs passed, about 10 years after, actually. There was kind of a big space in between. Did your wife get Chaser for your birthday?
Oh, that's right. Rich, my wife knew me better than I knew myself. The loss of the Yasha, I had for faithful companion for 18 years. I just said I won't get another dog.
Yeah, I know it could be.
It's hard.
It's hard to do that.
Hey, be careful, guys, during this interview because Hal only knows 500 words.
Yeah. So you decided it was your mission to teach Chaser as many words as you could.
Well, the year we brought Chaser into our home as a member of the family in 2004 was a year that Kaminsky over in Germany published in Science magazine that a dog by the name of Rico knew 200 words. And I had tried 10 years before, while I was still teaching, to teach dogs the names of objects, but was totally unsuccessful. So when we got Chaser, we tried a different technique, and lo and behold, the technique was one that worked very, very effectively, and by the 5th month of her life, she had learned that objects have names. She learned the cues that we give her to enable her to associate the name with the object. And when that happened, she was able to learn the names of objects on one trial.
Wow.
Now, she always needed rehearsal, but we did a little experiment to demonstrate that she was learning just hearing that object name one time.
To understand that she actually eventually started to learn sentences.
Well, that's our latest study that's just been published this month with Learning and Motivation. In this study, we replicated what has been done with dolphins and also with chimpanzee. We challenged her to learn a simple 3-element of grammar sentence, such as to ball take frisbee, and the inverse to frisbee take ball. And we really did not shape her. We did set such a situation up to enhance her learning, but she slowly figured it out as we presented those types of sentences to her.
Now, do you think it was your technique, or is she just one of the breeds that's a very intelligent breed? Could you have done this with any other type of dog?
Well, Chaser had learned the ABCs. You couldn't start off trying to teach syntax or teach semantics. You have to start off with your ABCs, with learning the names of verbs, and like learning the names of objects like we did do. But we feel that the ABCs that we use, taking her from one level to another, first she had to learn 2 words, a verb and a noun, and to associate those such that each one had meaning. Hillary, would you like to say something along here?
Well, I'll just jump in and say too that I think what is different about what John did is in terms of the technique that could be applied to other dogs and who knows with what success, is to use play to give the names of objects and give verbs too. value in Chaser's mind. And John, maybe you should talk a little bit about how you did that.
Well, in order to motivate a dog to listen to words, somehow or another the words have to take on value. Well, our method was to take an object like a ball, and we play with her like any dog would like to play, chase, catch, keep away, such that by playing with her, that object took on value. And then once that took on value, then the word, if the object playing with the object depended upon the word, then the words took on value. A lot of dog owners fail to recognize this, even animal trainers.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
The words have to take on value, and they take on value when the object takes on value.
That makes sense.
It does make sense, and it works.
In your book, Chaser, do you teach people how they can do this with their own dog?
Well, in our book, we think that we make this very clear, very explicit in the steps that we use to teach Chaser. It's a simple procedure, just playing with the dog with objects. An object takes on value, and then before you throw the object out, you just show the object to the dog and then just give it its name. This is Santa Claus. And then you pair that name with the play, with that object, over and over again, until hopefully at some point, like with Chaser in her 5th month, the dog will have that aha learning.
And one thing that's
I've done
wonderful
that with my
about
dogs.
this, this is conceptual learning, too. And like, so Chaser learned the concept that these objects or toys could have unique names, and then the verbs and the other words that John used together with the object, they all began to take on value because of the association with the toy and with the play.
I've done the same thing with my dog's red ball, white ball, and his tire. The same thing you're talking about.
Ah, neat.
Super.
It's a great book, a great story. I encourage listeners to pick up Chaser, Unlocking the Genius of the Dog Who Knows 1,000 Words. I have 10 copies right here. In fact, I'll give them away right now.
You have
9 copies.
9. I'm going to teach Ladybug 1,000 words.
How
1,001.
Ladybug's going to teach Hal how to talk.
Okay, great.
Toll free 1-866-405-8405 right now. If you don't get through, head on over to your bookstore or Amazon and look it up and get it there. It's Unlocking the Genius of a Dog Who Knows 1,000 Words. It is a bestseller. Good book. Joining us, John Pilley and Hillary Heinzman.
Hillary's my co-writer. Without Hillary, the story wouldn't be nearly as clear and amazing.
I have a wingman, too, Alan.
Yes,
He's my wingman. He makes me look good.
You know, that's ingenious. And you know what it comes down to, guys? You know what those two gentlemen were talking about? It's spending time with your dog. Because, you know, I've got all these toys scattered around the yard, and he'll pick up this tire and bring it to me, and I'll go, I'll go, red ball, red ball, red ball. And then he looks at me, and then he realizes if he wants me to play, if he wants me to play with him, he's got to go get that red ball. And just repetition. He's figured out there's a red ball, there's a white ball, there's a tire, and I can ask him to get any one of them because he knows when he brings them to me, I'm going to play with that object. I'm going to throw it for him, and it gives it value, just like those guys said.
It's true. Ladybug has a flea, and I tell her to go get her flea, and if she brings back something else, I just go get the flea, and she'll keep going, and she'll come back with her flea. Her little stuffed, it's a stuffed animal. They're smart little creatures, and it's a great way to bond with your animal, to sit there and work with them. And it's fun, too, to name objects and see how they pick up on it and watch their little brains. And
it's so much fun.
They're
being
like
with
sponges. They just want to absorb.
You know what the best thing about dogs is? They don't talk.
And they don't roll their eyes.
Need a fix of the good stuff? Get more Animal Radio with the free Animal Radio app for iPhone and Android.
Got an old car? You can donate it and save a life. The United Breast Cancer Foundation needs your help. They want to keep saving lives by offering women free or low-cost breast screening exams. And donating your old car or truck, running or not, helps pay for them. Plus, you get a charitable tax deduction. Call now for free pickup. 800-793-4880. 800-793-4880. That's 800-793-4880.
You're listening to Animal Radio. Here's Hal and Judy.
And let's yap with Bill. We have Dr. Debbie. This one's for you. Hey, Bill.
All right.
Hi. How y'all doing?
Great.
Good.
Great. Yes, I'm calling. I got 2 dogs. One's a Lab Beagle mix, 7 years old. The other one's a Shih Tzu Maltese mix. She's also 7 years old.
Okay.
My problem,
and what's going on?
Problem is, well, they both seem to be having something with their skin, or you know what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
The little Shih Tzu, she'll chew herself right raw toward her back end, and the lab doesn't chew herself raw, but she's constantly trying to bite herself, like in her rear, and she always wants me to. When I'm home, she always wants me to be scratching her rear end.
Okay.
Okay,
kind of that special spot where you scratch and that back leg goes. And
the other thing is now on her belly, on the lab, on her belly, she's got a little bit of a growth there toward her back, like in her pit there on the one back leg.
Okay.
But then she's got like tags, skin tags, under both of her front legs. They don't seem to bother her.
Okay.
But it's this other, it's breaking out and this constant itch and carry on. And I called because the vet that I've used for 20 years just retired.
Oh, okay.
And the vets here, I live in upstate New York. And these people want $100 just to bring the dog in.
Okay. Wow. All right. Well, so have you tried any remedies as far as, at least with your previous veterinarian, to tackle this problem, or is this just a new onset of problem?
No, what I've been doing is I've been bathing them when I get home, because I'm on the road all the time. But I bathe them, with a dog shampoo.
Okay.
And then I've been using hydrocodone spray.
Okay.
That seems
and how's
to
that help?
It seems to help the itching a bit. Although the lab, it doesn't help her butt at all. She just goes nuts with that sometimes. And I remember the vet told me something about a gland just inside of her butt.
Sure. Yep.
And he said if you took and run your finger around that and cleaned it out or whatever, it would help. I'm scared to I'm afraid to hurt.
I don't blame you.
You know, it sounds quite unpleasant when we describe the anal gland expression process. But those glands are sitting, on either side of the anal area, and they definitely can cause problems where dogs will lick, scoot, drag their bottom, so that kind of thing. For the best health of your relationship with your dog, I recommend taking her either to a vet or a groomer and having that done. There are folks that do this at home, but, there's kind of that, what I call a breakdown in that bond. Like, really? You got to do that to me, Dad? It's just, But, yeah, that would be definitely something simple to have addressed and taken a look at. Now, in the area where you're at, with having both dogs with these symptoms, I got to say, vigilant flea control is going to be really very, very important. And even if you don't see fleas, you're in an area where I'd still worry about that. So if you haven't been using a regular product, I would consider using something, especially some of the different topicals that you can apply once a month. And one that we use pretty readily is Advantix 2, which has some nice sustained protection. You want to do that, but also make sure we're not missing some really serious medical problems. And it might be worthwhile to pick up that phone and call around and see if you can find a vet that's kind of more in your mindset and maybe your budget of what you want to have done. But I think it'll be real important to make sure these babies don't have something else going on, like other types of skin mites or an allergy or an infection that we need to be trying some different things. And the hydrocortisone spray is a great short-term fix, but if we really have a proven itch that continues despite that, then there's got to be some other ways that we get around that. And for me, I like to sample the skin. I like to look at what's on the surface of a critter. So sometimes even just for a vet to get their eyeballs on a pet, it can make a big difference in giving you that direction if continuing down what you're doing is right, or if we need to add in something else along the way. But as far as like the anal glands, gosh, yeah, any kind of butt scooting and licking, that would be, number one thing on my white glove test there. And Hal always laughs because I slap that white glove on quite a bit here in my office. But, these kind of gland things can be a real problem, and kind of a silent problem for many dogs where they may not even show symptoms. So, yeah, I think it'd be worthwhile to get these babies into the vet there.
Okay.
I appreciate your call today, Bill.
All right, thank you guys. I listen to you every Saturday. I wish you was on all the time.
So do we. Because we could buy yachts and mansions and all kinds of things if we were on all the time. Hey, listen, let us know if that works. If you have any problems, give us a call back. If you can't find a vet there's a good list over at animalradio.com. And shop around. Find a vet that you like and one that fits your budget. Let them know. Because it's hard economic times for all of us, They understand.
I like this vet that I had because he had race horses.
He did?
Yeah, he owned race horses, and I used to go up to his farm all the time, and that's how I became acquainted with him. But, because him and I both love horses so much. Horses and dogs.
Horses and dog. What a good combination. Hey, thanks for listening. Well, that's all we have time for today. Hey, thanks for joining us. Remember to join us over at the website at animalradio.com or download the Animal Radio app for iPhone and Android. It's a free download, and you can ask your questions of Dr. Debbie or Alan Cable or Joey Villani or Joey Turner right from the app. And we'll catch you right here next week for more Animal Radio on this fine station. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye. Bye, Wanachi. We're done. I'm done. We're done.
Take care.
This is Animal Radio Network.